Is my cheap headlamp. I'm now looking at it a little bit more carefully. I stuffed this in very quickly, leaving islands, and well, this is 5.5 volts. I've used this charger with it because the jack does fit, right? That charger is rated at 12 volts, so that could be the reason that it died. Yeah, multiple chargers, similar plugs, outputs, rushing, and never checking. In fact, I didn't even know this was actually here until I just came along and decided to open it. Two screws should be easy enough to open. Let me have a look inside and see what I damaged by plugging anything wrong, and at least we'll look at the construction. Simple LED in front. It may be a compound one or single, but yeah, rather simple in front there. I would assume that in itself may not have been blown because it would have been charging and not on. So let me see what has been damaged and what could be done, how it's been constructed. It's obviously Chinese, so who knows. Chinese fashion, everything is not relatively cheap and simple. You have the jack coming in, you have the positive coming to the switch, and positive going to the charging terminal. This is a lead acid battery with two cells, 2.2 volts, let's say nominally, so that's 4.4, which makes the 5.5 volts requirement. Makes sense. It seems that there are two resistors in parallel, so at least the LED does have an inline resistor with it. And from best I can tell, because without soldering this you can't really tell the exact connections, but best I can tell is first press we get one connection onto this black, goes through this resistor, and that's how it goes in there. So we get basically full resistance of this resistor. When you press the second time, I suspect it connects to one of these down here, possibly the red, and what ends up happening is we get those two running in parallel, so we get half the resistance, obviously double the brightness, double the current. Well, not double the brightness necessarily, but double the current. And this would be the most likely positive to the LED, and that being the negative coming off the same thing, coming off the charger, coming off the battery. So sure, it makes sense. Let's open up the LED side of it, see the LED is blown because I may have pressed this when I had the 12 volts connected. So let's see if that's blown. The battery itself is completely dead, about 600 millivolts. It may or may not be able to take charge. That again, left to be seen. Simple approach: a piece of glass, normal screen like you'd have a normal torchlight, reflector, again typical plastic coated with some sort of reflective coating, possibly chromium, two screw connections, an aluminum plate. It appears to be one of those LEDs that are mounted directly on an aluminum substrate, so heat dissipation. It's just a matter of taking that out and seeing if the LED is still any good. It may not, but let's take a look and see. I've just jumped 3 volts over the plus and minus on this side, and there's multiple places to connect. The LED is working perfectly fine, so I guess it's a matter of charging this battery. It's a matter of putting the correct voltage on it, possibly. I don't know if the battery will charge back. Those lead acid batteries are fickle, they do have a lifespan. So worst case scenario, I may need to actually change out that. I'm not sure if I really want to put in a lithium ion because I need a lithium ion charger in here. Who knows? We'll see what we can do. But maybe that might be my only option, put in a lithium ion in there and put a lithium ion charger, because apart from that it seems everything is quite fine. May have to actually reconfigure these resistors to match what current should be. Green, I think it's brown, or maybe green. That may or may not, I'll have to see, because they put laminate on top of this. I could just test it and see what it is. So let me just test these resistors and see what they are, what resistance I'm getting over them, and yeah, that gives me a good idea. This is repairable, this is doable. Once the LED is fine, it could be fixed. I'll try to recharge the battery and see if it works first though, with the correct voltage this time. Check into this with a magnifier on the cell phone. This is a green, blue, gold. So the green, blue will give you 5.6, the gold will give you 0.1, so it's 5.6 ohms, and the gold being I think 5%. So they're in parallel. essentially speaking, if we were to go for one of them, what we would end up getting is, let's assume this is 4.4 volts at max, the LED pulling 3.2, let's say. That gives me 1.2 volts going over 5.6 is 6 ohms. That gives me 200 mA. 200 mA by 1.2 is quite close to 0.25 watts, which would be the rating on this resistor. So the Chinese, as usual, cut it very, very, very close, but it works. So I'll put it back together and let's put the correct voltage in it and see if this battery will take some charge. If it doesn't, well, it'll be another project to replace that. Probably one that I cannot do here, but I'll at least try to get me some cheap lithium-ion batteries of free off of their laptops, and possibly a charge controller. And there's enough space to stick in one lithium-ion and a charge controller in there, change these out and get them a little bit closer. But then again, nominally the lithium ion is going to be close enough to this that I can get away with that and not be too bright. So that's another project for another day. This part of this video was done a year ago actually. So I've now gotten these vaping units and this battery had died, so it's now possible to try replacing this battery with one of the vaping batteries, in fact one of the bigger ones, a 1250. I want to change the jack also to one of these little plug-in jacks that I have, so you can plug in and charge it easier instead of having multiple different jacks. So I need to put a little piece of black plastic here. I'll cut a little piece, stick it with crazy glue actually, and then make 2 holes, push in the connector I'm going to use, replace this and replace with one of the vapor batteries as I mentioned, see how it all goes. So this is the finished connections, nothing fancy. The jack in on this side here, as you can see, and there's 2 half notches that come in from the plate, and that will finish this up nicely. Red to red, black to black, charging and power to the light connected. Right now the light is off, and let's try to put it on when I'm having this first light level, second light level off. So it all works. To close it off, this is how the charging port looks now. Quite centered, looks decent, not bad at all.